Hello, what's up, ultra happy people? I am your host, ultra runner and coach Tanya, and your magnificent co-host, Andy.
Hello, everybody out
We
there.
are back and alone again.
Back and alone. Yay! That was good last week.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
We don't have any guests today.
Yeah.
I do have some surprises coming up. So from the deserts from Atacama. So yeah, we may move on a little bit in this episode forward, but we may have to go back a little bit once we get these people that I have there.
I am confused. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, we have people coming. All right, very quickly, a little bit of a roadmap for today's episode. We're going to talk a little bit about my disastrous weekend. If you follow me in socials, you probably know what I'm talking about. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth. And then we have obviously Facts by Andy. Andy's Facts by Andy. Love it. And number 3, we're going to start talking about Cocodona, people. The time has come. So yeah, we'll start just a little bit with a chat of like, how did I started prepping for 250 miles through the Arizona desert from Phoenix all the way to Flagstaff. So you know how that story finishes, but I think it will be interesting for you to know sort of like the back, what's happening before I tote the line of something so big and so scary. It was so scary for me.
The thing I think about Cocodona is it is a story. It is like a proper story because obviously it has a start, a middle, and an end, but there was so much that happened.
There's more things that you don't see, like back of the house.
Yep.
Definitely.
And I was involved in Cocodona as well.
I know.
There's
Are you
lots of stuff
excited?
I can talk about. Yeah.
Yes,
I'm excited.
You're excited. All right, so let's start from the beginning. Let's talk about the disastrous weekend I just had. Andy had a phenomenal weekend, so, F you, whatever.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about your magnificent weekend and my disastrous weekend. I had in the books 3 hours of running. As you know, we are both preparing for Burning Man Ultra. It's just, a 50K trot along I think it's Arizona. No, it's not Arizona.
I love how you call it a trot.
It's a trot.
It's actually Nevada desert.
Nevada desert. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
So it's through the Nevada desert. It's going to be super flat. And for everyone out there, just so you know, marathons, like road marathons and flat marathons, are 100 times more difficult than a normal trail ultra, right?
Well,
yeah.
This is where we disagree a little bit.
Oh, it is. It's
because actually,
you haven't even run a marathon.
No.
Once you run it, you come back and tell me. That's going to be a good.
My point is, as I was saying to you the other day, is while I am very much on the side of trail running and get out in the trails, and I love that, and it is definitely softer on the knees. The more that I'm training, the more I'm enjoying flat surfaces outside. Now, I think that's a lot to do with the fact that I'm doing a lot on a treadmill as well.
Oh yeah, that's easy.
I am definitely finding only for me, that I'm enjoying out there running on a flat ground. Definitely.
Okay, people, tell me, is Andy going to regret saying that when he finishes at least the marathon in flat surface? Yeah, I think that's going to change. But
let's wait and
we're
see.
going to see that. That will be interesting. You're going to be the most interesting person that I'm going to have that conversation with, because I'm going to say why I think it's more difficult a road flat run, right? In ultra trail, obviously it's in a trail, you're going up, you're going down, and usually you hike all the way up, and you shuffle, trot to go the downs and the flat surfaces. So your body has a little bit more of a chance to recover, and it's using more muscles. Yes, it's using more muscles, but it's like resting one muscle and then kind of like using the other one. So let's say in the uphill, you don't run, clearly, you kind of trek or hike. So your glutes are involved, and then your quads are sort of like, taking the back seat in there. So you're like relaxing your quads. And then when you're going downhill, your quad is on fire, but then your bum has a time to kind of recover. So it's yes, you're using more of your body as well. You're jumping and you're like, but you're giving a break to other muscles sort of thing. And in the road marathons or flat marathons, there is no break. Like your muscles, the same muscles you're using over and over 3-4 hours. If you're middle of the pack, you would be running probably plus 3 hours. So pounding in the same joints is so painful. Like I am super, like, that's why I don't like it. It's super painful. I think my hips suffer a lot. My knees suffer a lot. And it's just not,
I think the reason I'm starting to enjoy it more, and anybody out there that's maybe got an injury that's similar to mine in their ankle and their knee, is that I definitely wear the right footwear. So that softens my run. But as well as that, on the trails, I'm very conscious that I don't look around me. I only look really down. So what's happening is I'm constantly looking down because I'm wary of my ankle and I'm wary of my injuries. Whereas when I'm out on the roads or on the flat surface, I'm just one foot in front of the other. I feel like I can zone out a wee bit more. So I think
that's so interesting.
So I think that that's why I'm starting to find it.
Right, you will
maybe not. I don't want to say better, but
no,
more
but I know
enjoyable,
what you're saying.
More enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay. And for me, I zone out much better in the trails, even though I'm thinking and I have my eyes down, like you were saying. For me, it's like I'm concentrating in where my foot is going to be next, like my footing and all that. Yeah. So that allows me to stop thinking about the other 3 million other things that I have in my head. So that allows me to zone out because I'm just thinking where my foot's going to land and where should I go and all that. And in the flat surfaces, it's so easy that my head steals pretty loud. As you know, I probably have an undiagnosed ADHD. So there was like 10,000 people running usually around inside my head. So I quiet the voices running or trail running in this case. But then if it's flat running, because like you were mentioning, there's nothing to do or there's no, my head steals pretty loud. And that's where, But and then also the other part is that it's pretty hard on the joints, and I feel them pretty hard on the joints. So that joined with the fact that my head is not really relaxed. It just doesn't make it a pleasant.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I find trail running exciting, especially the more experienced I'm getting, because I feel like obviously that I'm actually properly running sections of it now, and I'm hopping around and I'm feeling more confident on it.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's more exciting. You know what I mean? It's a bit like a chase or something. You know what I mean? Whereas out on when we're doing the 20k there flat, I did enjoy the zoning out of it. I can't lie.
I can't zone out, people. I just can't. My head is just too loud. Anyway, so I had 3 hours and I was like, I'm not going to do our normal run out and back, because if it's going to be already hard mentally, I do not enjoy going out and backs. I do not enjoy going like in loops either. Like it has to be like a start and an end. So at least in my head, I'm like going somewhere. And when I arrive to that place, even in races, I love the point-to-point races, right? That's one of the names of the races. When they say point-to-point, it means that you start and then you finish in a different point, right? It's not a loop, for example. So I had the magnificent idea that we should do sort of a route that is like that, point to point. So from the house all the way to that great building, the Burj Khalifa, it's around, in paper, it's 21k. So I thought, you know what, that could be a great route. It's something to look forward. I love going to that area because, I mean, it's just, even though we've been living here, every time we see it or every time I see it, I just feel like in awe about that building. It's just, I just love it. It just looks so powerful. And I don't know, I just like it. So I thought, that would be a little, something to chase. So I was like, okay, let's do that route. And we left the house around 5 a.m. in the morning. And I think I was okay the first 10K. Maybe because also the heat was not 100% there. It was still very humid, but 10K, I was all right. We did all that like pretty much alone in the streets. And then I took my time. I was sort of enjoying it. And then we came to the part where is a beach. side, like around kilometer 10 starts being like the beach side, waterfront kind of thing. And there is where a lot of people go and run. It's just beautiful there. And there's actually a path where you can cycle, you can run, so that's a long stretch as well. That's pretty much another 9-10K. And when we hit there, my mind was starting to struggle. Like it was starting to get hot. It was starting to get humid. My joints, it was going to be the longest run I've done so far after my 7-week break. So I could definitely feel that as being that, that's over what we've done. Like we have what I feel comfortable at the moment. So everything started hurting a little bit. And then I just like everything started broken down. And then just like seeing, like I said, there's a lot of people run clubs and all that. And just getting there and seeing people just running and make it look so easy. And there was like run groups laughing and just enjoying their day out. I just totally lost my shit. I was like, why is everyone enjoying it? Why I cannot enjoy it like I used to? Like, I feel so heavy. And I just started feeling sorry for myself a little bit, but also in like sad that was me like months ago, like it's just sad to not feel sort of strong as you were before. And I understand like maybe when you start, this is harder. I think like the rebuilding, this kind of coming back, it's harder than when you start. I mean, when you start, you have like that of, your progress, you progress super fast and you're excited and you're like, oh my God, what else can I do next? You have all that emotion and that kind of keep you going. But then when you've been doing this for 10 years and you kind of know pretty much, you know yourself, you've been there quite enough times. And then it's not that there's no enjoyment, but it's just a little bit something that you are, it's part of your life and that's what it is. So I think when I was there and then I was like feeling all that, emotions. I don't know. Yeah, emotions and just like missing myself. Like right now I feel like I'm not myself in many ways.
Yeah. I think the thing that caught me off guard about it because we were really up for it in the beginning, if you remember right. And I think when we got to Cape Beach, you seemed to get a wee bit down. But I think the thing that caught me by surprise, and I think it's good for people listening as well, because you're a really strong character and inside your head that you're not in competition with anybody else. Yeah. I mean, you actually sometimes think I'm not even in competition myself. I just go out there and get the job done. But there was definitely something that put your mind back to a place where you thought, this is not me anymore. This is not the way I am. This is not the way I should be.
Yeah.
And when we have the realization that the training itself has to be part of the development to get you to where you want to go.
Yeah.
It is like restarting again for you.
It's restarting.
And I think that caught you off
steroids. Because now you have the ghost of what you were or what you used to be.
Yeah, ghost of what you
when you started, you have nothing to compare yourself. Like you're only getting better and better because when you start, everything is like, it's new and you're just, the progress is so fast. But when your machine is already kind of like oiled and everything, it's really hard for it to get better. So I feel in many ways, one of the things that's why we're doing the Hunger Games is because I don't feel myself in many ways, not only in the cardio aerobic capacity, but also even physically, right? Like I need to go back to my, like even my size or my own, my own self, like my own skin. And it has been, I think it's just everything, like I feel heavy, like, and I see everyone just enjoying their, but then also there's another side, like you were saying, that I have a strong mind and stuff. I think it's good sometimes to have that break because then the other, like I was saying, I have multiple people inside my head, right? And then sometimes Merenguita, like the other ones, those voices were louder. But then obviously the other voices that are like in there, my head, were able to tame the other ones down and say, hey, listen, look what you've done this year. Like you have to give yourself, the time and the love and the patience to know that any of these people, I mean, not trying to make them less, right? But none of these people that are running around have done what you've done. So you cannot feel, not compared, but be like, why they look so happy and I look so miserable? Well, they haven't gone through what you have gone through, and you have to kind of respect, but also love that part of it.
I think that what you done is you came to terms with the consequences of doing all that physically, but you never came to terms with the consequences of doing it mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happened is the physical parts you can see quite clear. So you like your hump, your lovely, your hump, I mean, some of the issues that you had as well outside that, your weight gain, the issues that you had with your feet, for example. There's quite a lot, and they're all visible things that you can see.
Yeah.
But when it becomes mental, that's not something I think that you were quite ready for. But another thing that I thought as well is that I think, and people can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a long distance runners thing. Because I don't think in the runs that we've done, and we have done other runs in the meantime, on those short distances, it didn't bother you at all. Actually, if anything, what you were doing is you were saying, "No, I'm a bit slow, but that wasn't too bad," or "I didn't mind it." But those longer distances, what's happening is it's actually playing in your mind. And you're
I think what got me was seeing people.
Yeah, you're getting to see other people as well.
That's why recent, probably 100 million one, I do not particularly love joining run clubs.
I do.
I know you do. I don't particularly love it just because I don't, it's not that I'm comparing myself, but you're seeing it, like, it's in front of your head.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot just unsee it. And I just don't, and then it's hard for me it's not hard, but it's like, I have to be negotiating with myself in the sense of like, well, they are not training what you're training. Like, we go now this Mondays to this run club and we do 5K, and obviously people are mega fast and they're faster than me. I'm usually one of the last souls in the group. And for me, it's hard, like and I'm even in my prime when I'm like super fit, I will never be fast. But also I have to understand that they are not training for what I'm training.
Yeah.
And they don't have the hours that I put already. Like for Monday, my body has gone through, like 4 double sessions in the week. Like I've gone 3 or 4 hours in the trails. So when I hit Monday, I'm absolutely knackered. So I have, so I don't love that feeling that I have to be like reminding that to myself. So that's why I think I go to myself with myself, so I don't have to convince my brain that it needs to do, like, I like to be just me and my head and the other 20 people that are.
You've already got a run club going on in there.
Exactly.
Anybody else?
And I'm not the last one in that one.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like usually the rock star.
Yeah.
So in real life, it's like, why I'm not here?
You're the one with the legs. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why probably. But we're trying this run club thing anyways, because if I'm up for something, is try something that is outside your comfort zone, and that for me is out of my comfort zone, and it's just something to do out to get us out of the house.
Yeah, well. But I think I enjoy them for different.
Yeah.
I enjoy them for different reasons. But then other parts of it as well is actually we've inspired people to want to come out trail running with us as well. I know. Like for example,
we're going like,
Danny,
let's go out.
Yeah, a guy that we know that we met through the Corona Run Club. He got really interested in the trail running side of it when I was speaking to him, and now he is going to come out this weekend with us. And this guy is fast.
We are going to turn him into a trail runner.
I think it'll be really interesting to see how he switches from being road runner and fast into a trail runner.
I think that's going to be, and I'm going to write it down because that's a great topic to speak about. We've spoken about, I think, ages ago, but I think as a coach, I've seen this transition go very bad. So it's a transition that you have to do very well thought and educated. Yep. So it would be interesting and something I'm going to write down. Let us know if you're interested in that chat.
Even try and get him on the podcast.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Danny actually wins races.
He is very fast in the road.
13th in the Birds to Birds.
But if you remember, right, I have those kind of people in the deserts.
Yep.
And these kind of people in the deserts, because they're used to moving very fast. And then when they go to the desert or trails and they are not hitting those fast paces, their brain starts going.
They struggle with it mentally.
Yes. Yep. I personally had like the experience of seeing 2 people in the deserts that DNF'd or did not finish because that reason. They were constantly thinking, I can't believe I'm so slow. Why I'm not moving? 1 kilometer is taking me 20K. Like they keep reinforcing how slow and how bad they were because they are used to running in the road.
Yeah.
So mentally, they were checking out. So it's a mind game as well. Apart from, we'll talk about the physicality of the changes and the different, but mentally, it's a shock for them. Probably what's happening to me when I go out and I suddenly see that I'm moving slower and why everyone's going faster and I'm not. It's probably that game, but it's even worse because if you're actually used to be really good and then you go out there and you're not good or you're not moving as fast, it's definitely.
I think that'll be a great topic to come back on, just because I bet a lot of our listeners
we'll write it down.
Are actually, if maybe some of them are road runners and want to transfer to trail runners or vice versa. It'll be interesting for them to hear that other viewpoint.
It will be interesting.
As me,
we'll let you know how that goes.
Yep.
We have that run this weekend because I am going back to the trails. I am giving up on the flat road running and just wish me luck for the 50K. I know I will survive it. I will crawl it. Mentally I will be there. And let's just pray for Tanya. But I am not doing any more flat miles. I'll still go out for my trail runs this weekend, and then we'll come back and let you know how if this guy survives or not. We'll see. All right, so let's go with Andy's facts by Andy.
I don't think we need to say Andy's facts by Andy. I think everybody gets it.
No. We're on Instagram, people, by the way. Sometimes we get connected. So if you're just listening to us in Spotify or Apple Podcasts, follow me on my socials because, sometimes we'll pop up in there.
So today we are going to talk about, after Andy's facts, about the time for you when you finished Atacama till you went to Cocodona. And for me, I remember at the time thinking about, and I'm sure you did, as did everybody else, 4 weeks between the two races, between two 250s is massive.
250 kilometers
250 kilometers and 250 miles,
so
sorry, is massive. Right, so it's how you.
It's stupid. Wouldn't recommend it, but okay.
Well, just
let me throw it out there.
I've got some facts for you, and I've done it again in the way we liked it last time. So, number one, cumulative fatigue for multi-stage ultras impairs muscle function for up to 2 to 3 weeks.
Yes.
Science says a 2014 study in Frontiers in Physiology tracked runners after multi-day stage races and found muscle strength, neuromuscular control and heart rate variability were still significantly impaired up to 21 days post-race. Why it matters? Even if you feel fine a few days after, your nervous system and muscles may still be recovering. So don't rush back into the high intensity or long runs too soon after races.
I agree. I said 2 weeks actually, so it wasn't too bad. That's how I feel, but now a study is like actually backing up what I said. I said 2 weeks. I usually feel.
From what
muscular wise was easy, but it's just the neuro psychological and then even your insides, like your stomach,
and that's the thing when reading it. I mean, they were saying it's not impossible to do it, which obviously it's not, but you definitely need minimum 3 to 4 weeks for that recovery because the problem is you don't realise, but your body's not fully recovered. You might feel recovered, but actually it's not.
Exactly, totally. And actually, I felt like that. Sometimes I would be like, okay, I'm fine. And then you start walking up the stairs and my heart just started to just beat up so fast. And I'm like, what is happening? I'm just walking up the stairs. And it was just, you're not 100% there. Yeah.
Okay, so self-supported racing leads to chronic energy deficit, reducing immune function and recovery.
We're not selling it, though.
Love this. So science says a study on multi-day expedition racing in the European Journal of Applied Physiology showed that athletes often run at a caloric deficit of 25 to 40%.
I told you.
Which over several days reduces testosterone, immunity markers and protein synthesis. Why it matters. Post-race recovery must focus on eating abundantly carbs, protein and micronutrients to restore hormonal balance, rebuild muscle and prevent illness before your next race window.
I think I did it too hard because now I gain weight.
Well, see, when I was reading about it, right, it was actually saying that, see, in that time, the amount of athletes that get sick after races.
Oh, I seen it all the time. I think we even spoke about it. There was people that got, because your lips crack, right? It's just normal. The sun, the sand, whatever, they get dry. And that that infection will go really ugly even after. So obviously they get it through the race, and then they will go back home. They absolutely get destroyed because of the herpes. Is it herpes? Yeah.
Herpes, that's right. Yeah.
Hold them out,
It's
the
like
whole
impetigo,
face. Yeah. It's
Well,
because of that.
Interestingly enough, reading about it, obviously you try your best to fuel yourself during these races. But the important thing is, and I know we joke about like the post-race pizzas and all that sort of stuff, but actually,
I was so hungry, man.
Actually, it's about getting those nutrients into you afterwards, and that's what saves you from those illnesses.
Absolutely.
Sometimes.
Well, I was reading as well that now kind of goes together with what you were saying, and I found it really interesting. Obviously, I'm still learning and understanding what happened, if I could have done better in the sense of like maybe nutrition wise, like you were saying, to recover, because now we're left with 5 kilos over after the whole shooting match, and I'm like, could I have done something better? Because now I will even have athletes that I'm training them to do the Grand Slam Plus. So obviously I need to learn how to be better, so actually I can train them and everything they do better. That's the whole point. And I was reading as well that women in this particular sense is that we obviously store fat, and that's how my body kept myself alive. Like it was a response of my body of survival. And maybe it was one of the reasons why I was able to finish the 5 deserts and I've never got sick. Not even once. Nothing, because maybe my body was in this like, I'm gonna keep all the food and all the fats and all, because I'm in survival mode, and that was much more of a response rather than and I feel like I should love my body more because of that reaction, rather than lose that weight or lose that fat. Well, because of that I was able to do what I did, and now I have like these back of studies that is backing me up, but it's actually, it was what my body, it was so intelligent to be like, hey, you're in calorie deficit around, you were saying 25 to 40%, and being in such a calorie deficit is not healthy.
Well, we talk about a lot, and you'll hear it in every documentary that everybody's ever done it, is about how your body's such an amazing machine and what it does to cope. But actually it's about what it does to survive. Do you know what I mean? And it will switch, and there are mechanisms in the body that are stress mechanisms to make you cope and different things, which is
and right now it's costing me so much time, like, or energy, like you were saying, to like you're being witness of my body. I need to relax my body. I need to like make my body understand that we're not under any attack anymore. Like I'm not going to put my body again, so I need to relax to kind of make my body feel safe again, that it's not going to be, it doesn't need to be in survival mode anymore. And that's one of the things that I read, and I'm working on it, so that way my body can let go of what is not.
For you,
doesn't need to.
For you, it's unlikely you're going to put yourself in that situation again, having such short space.
No,
but I think it is interesting because obviously there's the stage race that you've done, the 5 deserts happening right now, and there's people going through that. So it's good for them to know that these things happen. Okay, your aerobic base protects you, but your connective tissue needs longer to bounce back. Science says cardiovascular adaptations recover quickly, roughly in 7 to 10 days, but tendons, fascia, and joint structures can take 3 to 5 weeks to fully repair after ultra-distance effort. Per a 2020 review in Sports Medicine, why it matters, 4 weeks between 250-kilometre races is double if you maintain aerobic fitness while reducing impact stress, like with hiking, water, running, or cycling. So the truth of the matter is that your aerobic, we always say about your aerobic side of things, your engine always feels good.
My engine always feels good.
Usually, always feels good. But the point is anything that what you have is you've got impact stress on. That takes much longer. That takes 3 to 5 weeks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
I mean, I think I probably, like, even in my beginning of my shorter distances, and when I done my first half marathon, I think that's the way I felt, that I could have went on running with my lungs and everything else, but everything was just like, no. And it took me like a good 2 weeks to get over that, and that's nothing to ultra.
That's one of the things I noticed. And I think I told you right away when I started kind of rebuilding and starting to work out again, is that my engine was good. Like I could run and I was not getting out of breath that easily. Like it's not that, but I was so sore. I haven't been sore in a while. So that was interesting. So
Okay. you should train undertrained, not overtrained, if your second 250 kilometers.
Yeah,
which
well,
you
that
said,
didn't work.
But you did actually say that. Do you remember that you would rather go into undertrained?
Always go undertrained to a race rather than overtrained.
So science says studies on stage race preparation in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research shows that going in slightly undertrained but fresh results in better performance and fewer injuries
100%.
than being highly trained but fatigued.
Yes.
Why that matters? Your body still carries a base from race one. Focus on light movement, sleep and fueling instead of ramping up mileage. Think sharp, not shredded.
Yep, that's correct. So from Atacama to Cocodona, I didn't do much. I did a couple of really short, easy jogs here and there. And we were definitely putting more effort into recovery, laying down, just mobility as well, and eating more. So that's where it was. So exactly. And for any of your races, even though you're not doing back-to-backs, I always said that if you have to choose, or, because of life things that you happen, it's better to go undertrained than overtrained. So if you're feeling not great and you're close to a race, like if you have to choose, like, oh, I feel super tired, instead of like trying to be a hero and beast it and go for it, and sometimes it's actually better to not do that session. You're not going to be undertrained, but if you feel that way, but it's better, like you were saying, to get there fresh, rested, undertrained, if you want to call it, than overtrained and fatigued.
Well, this next point, and I've been reading a lot about sleep recently and about the impact it has on fitness, and I don't think people quite realise about it. So sleep is the number one driver of multi-race performance. So science says sleep research from current sports medicine reports confirms that sleep debt after ultra events delays muscle repair, raises cortisol and lowers mental resilience, directly impacting stage race success. Why it matters is between races, 8 to 10 hours of sleep nightly plus naps is as important as your training. Recovery isn't passive. Sleep is your superpower for back-to-back ultras.
Yeah, but you don't have that.
But it's hard as well, isn't it? Because
you don't have the time to sleep 8 hours, and then it's hard when you're like sharing a tent with 6 people, and there's always noise happening. There's always something.
Yeah, but what we're talking
Plus
about here,
you're super sore.
But what we're talking about here is the time from you finishing Atacama to go to Cocodona.
That was I was sleeping.
It's just about getting
but
as much.
That's also in stage races. So between one run and the next one, so day by day, like you are not sleeping. So at the end of the whole thing, I had like a sleep deficit, nutrition deficit, everything. So you feel like you just were ran over by a train and hit hard. So I had 4 weeks between race and race, and that's what I was saying. I was focused on just sleeping and just recovering. But definitely it's hard. Even the races you don't sleep, and we'll talk about it. But in Cocodona, you didn't sleep either much. So and that, apart from your muscle, that obviously doesn't help muscle wise, mentally it's you start not thinking clearly, and that's another reason why you always have to go to these sort of races with a plan that you're gonna kind of remember right away, like the plan we were saying last episode. And even Brad had that plan. His plan was that he said that I will always start the day, like doesn't matter what, I will put my foot in that. And that was his plan, and that's perfect. Just go in your head with a plan, because when you are sleep deprived, your nutrition is going down, your mental, you're not going to be as sharp. So you have to have those like safe buoys to kind of like hang into when you are starting to drag or just float away. Yeah. Okay, and I've got a bonus fact this week. I've got a bonus fact because I loved it, and actually I think it's one of the most important, but it's a wee bit funny as well. Okay. So after a multi-day ultra, your gut bacteria start to think you're trying to kill them. See? But not only your gut bacteria, I think your body, like your whole body thinks science says am under attack. A 2019 study in Nature Review Gastroenterology and Hepatology found that extreme endurance events like multi-day ultras cause temporary gut dysbiosis.
Basically, your good gut bacteria get overwhelmed by stress, heat, and low food intake. Why it matters? Your stomach might rebel with bloating,
Yes.
weird cravings, or bathroom drama post-race. Not because you're broken, but because your gut microbes are in shock and filing HR complaints. Load up on probiotics, fiber, and fermented foods,
Oh my God.
or you'll be racing to the toilet before you're
I know
racing
what
on
you're
the
saying.
trail.
It's funny.
But
I think my gut bacteria, it's a super Mexican.
yeah,
Because it's like the first craving I have is Tabasco sauce.
sauce, I know. But you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense,
Oh
doesn't
my
it?
God. I came back. It's true because
Yeah.
I didn't know why,
Yeah.
but I went through it. And you remember what I shared with you all that I was craving. I finished around 5 bottles of Tabasco in 1
Yeah.
week. I was just craving something salty
Yeah.
so much. I don't know why. I don't know what was wrong with me. I don't know. It was, and then it became a joke because everyone was just joking now that I was, Tabasco. And yeah. So that's a weird, it's like you were pregnant and then you're very bloated. That's another one.
Yeah.
I started the race, and also I've talked about it here in the podcast that when I was choosing my clothes, usually choose my clothes a little bit oversized because I know I'm gonna grow. So I just let myself just, and I don't want to be squeezed at the end or like halfway through, and you don't want that. So yeah, that's a good tip.
But I thought it was really interesting. I don't think people realise the impact that the gut has on them when they're running. But not only that, from a performance side, but
you don't know why. Because
Yeah.
I obviously felt it, right? Like I know I bloated, I know I have weird cravings,
Yeah.
I know all that. But it's interesting to know the back end of like, or the reason. There is like actually a scientific reason why this is happening.
They genuinely think you're attacking them.
That's what I was saying about my body. My body thinks that's why it starts keeping or storing fat because you're eating me, like you're not feeding me enough. You're starving. You're starving myself. So I'm going to start just holding into everything, and that's sort of a way to your body of protecting himself. So the same thing. I think like we were saying, your body is such a magnificent machine that is just trying to keep you alive, and they have to do what it has to do. So yeah, that's very interesting. I didn't know any of that. So we are all learning here together.
Me too.
I know. All right. So very, very fast. We finished Atacama the last episode, and I'm going to go through really fast through sort of how that ended. After the super emotional, finish, we went back to the hotel, and that night we had the evening dinner where the medals were going to be awarded. I'll show you the medal. It's up there. We'll show it. And it was, we usually have this dinner at the end of every race, and it's a really cool dinner because you have dinner with all the participants. Everyone's already showered, and we all smell good. And we always had clothes, decent. We all look so different. And after that, obviously the awards are being handed. So this time it was inside I'll show it in a second. Yep. In this time it was inside the hotel restaurant. The hotel was very tiny, and the restaurant was like in the lobby area, and it was very cramped. And they were giving the awards sort of at the front end, like in a tiny corner.
Yep.
So that's the only thing I think ended up in a little like we came up from a high to getting the award in like a dusty, dark corner. Yeah. And then they just called us. So there's people that are doing the 4 deserts. So people that are doing meaning that they finish the 4 deserts, regardless if you finish it in a year, 2 years, 10 years, there's people that work towards having this medal. I'll show it in the YouTube you're watching. It's 1 medal is 4 deserts. So this one, you can get it if you do the 4 deserts in any time frame sort of thing. So you can do it 1 every year, which I recommend. And so they call them all in front at the same time. They were calling us. So there was we were less than 10 people that did the Grand Slam Plus. And then all these people that were finishing their 4 deserts, which was a good other, I don't know, we were called all together to the front. So we were all in this tiny corner. We were kind of like fighting over getting the medals, and we were just like cramped in there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it didn't feel special. I think the people that were doing the Grand Slam Plus, which, like I was saying, it was less than 10. I think we ended up being 6 or 7.
Did you think it was going to be like a graduation idea that you would get called up and get your medal?
I think we deserved, the people that were doing the Grand Slam Plus again, the ones that we fought a whole year. We only not fought the deserts. We fought travels. We fought trips. We fought not being at home. We fought economically, because that's a really expensive, year in every sense of the way. And just being called like, oh yeah, here's, like you were something, like you were just one of the crowd. I don't know. It just felt, I think it would have made it more special, that, like you were saying, kind of like graduation style. Like, it would have taken more than a minute, to be honest, because we're not that many. And it would have given me that at least 30 seconds of like recognition that I think we deserved. Yeah. And that was the only kind of thing that, I'll show I'm going to show it in the YouTube, guys, if you are there. But this is the 4 Desert Grand Slam Plus. There's only, I don't know how many of these ones in the world. Oh yeah, I know. Oh no, I'm the 9th woman, but I don't know how many men, like women and men. But yeah, there's very few of those. And I think with that, there's other races or other organizers that actually have like these, like, backdrop with, with a brand and, where you can take a photo. And I feel like we didn't have that. I don't know. It was a little bit of a bittersweet pill at the end of the whole thing.
This one's actually engraved.
Yeah, this one says my name.
Yep.
So that's what I was saying. Yeah. Like it was, I don't know. I think we deserved a little bit more. So if anyone's looking to do the 4 deserts, just know that maybe I was expecting too much. I think we deserved it. But, well, just so you know, maybe hopefully they will change that in the future. Maybe they realize like, yeah, right, like we are paying a bunch of money for that. So,
I think the main thing is those things come and go, those events, right? However, you walk by this room every day and you'll see those medals, and it's something to be proud of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so but I still have that in my back of my head.
Of a sour taste
I was like, but I didn't, like, I don't know. I'm very happy that my parents didn't go, because they would have been absolutely like demented. It was so crowded. There was actually people, they didn't fit all in the same room. So they kind of had like a next room that half of the other contestants were there, and it was just, they were not part. I don't know. It was very weird. I don't know. It just didn't feel right. I hope they kind of polish that part of it. And when you do it, when you all do it, that changes, and you have the kind of award ceremony that you deserve, because you definitely deserve it. And and that's it. After that, I left to Mexico. I stayed in Chile. That's a beautiful town, by the way. I said it at the beginning when we started talking about Atacama. But if you have a chance, definitely go to San Pedro de Atacama. I did feel like I needed a couple more days there to explore. There were so many things, and it's full of tours. Like you can do the stargazing and the visiting geysers with craters, and they were also visiting some of the parts that we ran through, like the Death Valley, whatever. Yep. Those we ran through, clearly. But there was other things that you can do that I think I would have enjoyed it. And actually, I would have gone back to certain parts of the route to just sit down and just
relive it.
Yeah, I think I would have liked that. So yeah, even if you're not a runner, or maybe you have someone's runner, it would be great that you go have a race there or go and explore that area. It's called San Pedro de Atacama. It is a pain to get there, but you will love it. Excellent. And then I just flew to Mexico, like Andy was saying. I had 4 weeks. Andy was still stranded here in Dubai. He was not traveling until all the way to Phoenix. So I was spending a whole month and plus
loving
alone.
Life.
And you? What you were doing in that time? Just living life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine, like the apartment.
Out partying.
I know, I can imagine.
Yeah, hanging out.
Yeah.
Meeting new people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Having all the girls over.
Having all the kids over. Going out to see all the dogs, that's what I was doing.
So yeah, it was that's harsh as well. People that live that's life sort of thing. Like, sometimes you have to do those compromises. And yeah, it was hardly a break. There was a lot of things to figure out in that meantime. 4 weeks sounds a lot of time, but I like to plan things as I finish, right? So when I was about to do Atacama, I knew I had 4 weeks, but I didn't want to plan anything of Cocodona because it was going to be, it's too much for me. I said, okay, when I finish Atacama, then we will solve that issue after. Like, I need to finish this and then we'll go into the next, right? Even though it was going to be a very, very tight time frame. So when I finished, I was like, okay, now is the time we solve the next one. Cocodona, let's go. So what I did those 4 weeks, pretty much, it was getting my kit ready. Most importantly, I started working in my Excel file where I needed to put how many I like to, and I'll show you in the video. I still have it. It's my Excel kind of cheat that I print out. And I do this with every ultra race, not the staged ones, because that ones really you don't even have a clue where you're going. But these ones that you have a route and a map and you have checkpoints kind of marked out beforehand, I like to do a little Excel. So I put where's the start, where's the next checkpoint, how many kilometers is between each checkpoint, and the time limit. People that were like me that are chasing cutoffs, for me is really important to know when is the next cutoff, just so I can relax or not, or just kind of be aware. If you're a fast runner and you don't care for time cutoffs, I guess bless you, you can just go and have fun. But us, we have to live with that in the back of the head, thinking, cutoffs. So I put those as well in there. And then from there, what I wanted to do is break the distance into little distances that are manageable for me. A marathon, 50K, until 50K, I think it's very manageable for me. I can do a 50K, no problem, but I can survive it. So
we'll see.
I know, right? You only have to do one this time, Tanya. So what I did is I broke down the 410 kilometers in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in nine stages. For me, that's how I thought in my head. And we're going to do stages like we've been doing. Yep. Instead of 6, now we have 9 stages. And with that, I just had to kind of program and then also work along with the crew in which stops they can actually stop, because their crew is not allowed in certain stops. Yep. And I didn't want to see them every checkpoint, because there's a lot of checkpoints, people. There is millions. And I didn't want you guys to be in each checkpoint. I think it would have been real stressful for you. It would have been, because if you're there, I will stop longer. Clearly, you will be more needy about things. Yep. And if I know you're not there, I just feel my waters, eat and leave. Like, there's no chit chatting. There's no distraction. I'll just keep going. You
didn't want to waste any time, because you knew that you're a wee bit slower anyway. So you wanted to get in and out.
That's the other thing. We as slow runners, back of the pack, we have to be very smart with our stops, because that's where you can make up a little bit of the time that you clearly don't have.
Yeah, and that is, I know you'd asked me earlier on about what I was doing here, but I was genuinely here worried about Cocodona, because I was going to pace you for a bit, and we'll talk about the pacing in another episode. But my nervousness was that's when I was getting my knee pain, remember?
Right.
And I was so worried about the fact that I wasn't going to be able to pace you.
Because that's the other thing. I'm doing the checkpoints, the breaking down the distance, and I'm saying, okay, who is going to be with me in certain point? Yeah. And then I also had to coordinate the crew that, okay, you're going to leave the pacer there, and then the pacer, you're going to have to pick him up in the next one. Yeah. And then obviously Andy can do a 50K. So I needed to find, at that point, but altogether, I couldn't give you a whole 50K in one go. So I had to break it down in okay, he can't do that. So, we'll give him a chunk that is like a 40 or a 30, and just kind of playing around with the checkpoints, with the times, with, it was hard to do the Excel file. I think I did over 10 files.
10 versions.
10 versions. And then on top of that is trying to figure out at what time Tanya would be there. It was almost like an impossible task because how can you like, how can I see in the future and how am I going to be moving?
I think the ironic thing about it is that obviously when you do it, you plan for the great weather and you plan for everything being normal, but it's impossible to plan your pace over terrain that you've never run before.
Or haven't seen. Clearly we have.
Because there were some parts you were actually pretty fast on, and then there was other parts you just slowed right down because of the weather and because you were unexpected to the terrain.
So what I did, so you always have to go to sort of like your slowest, version and see, what would be the worst case scenario. So what I did is I went to my data from Jordan, which that has been my slowest stage ever. They won the 90K through Jordan after four marathons, and then I got hit by a 90K with my trainers that were not working. It was super painful. So I thought that is the slowest I've moved ever. So I just grabbed my average pace and I said, we're just going to fly with this one through the whole thing. And then add a couple of hours in between in the big stops where I'm going to see you. And that's how I sort of plan it out. Obviously, I told the crew that was not going to be obviously a plan. It's almost like a plan that you're not going to follow. Like, it's not going to happen, but you have to have some sort of...
You need to have a foundation of what you think it will look like.
Yeah.
Because,
for example, when I got... Well, we'll talk about it, right?
Yeah.
But it's also, during the race, it gives you a little bit of a navigation point, knowing how slow or fast or how good or bad you're doing, sort of in some way, and know that plan is going to change as well, obviously, clearly. So that's what I was doing. That took me a couple of days, to be honest. Also a lot of calls with my coach to kind of like realize or kind of talk about, it's good to have that feedback and just, and then that's really good to do with any race. I do these cheat sheets with all my races. Actually, I have a bunch. I think I have a box full of these cheat sheets. They're left in Glasgow. Maybe we'll bring them and show you all. But I do this with all my races. And if you're seeing YouTube or Instagram, this is the cheat sheet. And then I put it in the back of my phone. So I have my case of my phone. And then I put it here. It fits exactly. It's the best phone case ever. Here it is, 410 kilometer plan just behind my phone. And it's easy for me because I could just see it very quickly. Obviously it has like tiny notes as well. Like I also had to sort of see at what time I was going to pretendingly arrive at a certain point to know like, oh, you have to take your headlamp or grab your jacket because it's going to be dark and you're going to do this in this distance over in the morning or where in the day. This implicated much more things than a normal 80K that I've done, or even 100. Like this is 5-6 days of going through day and night and many weather and many different things. So you had to almost be prepared for everything.
As the crew as well, we had a spreadsheet and had details as well of what sort of time and what distance, something a wee bit more elaborate than what you've got.
Oh, and also I was telling you like what to give me, like what to make sure that I do.
You leave with
That's
this,
also a very important point because when your brain is not working 100%, and they are clearly the ones that have to be thinking for you or doing some decisions for you, and they're there to help you ultimately. And more in the late stages or when it's getting really difficult to think, it's good if you leave sort of notes for them to tell them what you need at a certain point. Obviously, like always remember to charge my battery or give me the, or
we'll maybe pop it up on the screen here so that you can see what that looks like.
Exactly. Just put there. Even the most stupid, remember to put a toilet paper in my backpack always, because obviously by that point probably I used it. So I would need like a refill of toilet paper or ask me if I have, or check if I had my painkillers or, just things that, it needs to be refilled. Because then when you get there, you're going to be absolutely destroyed, you're going to be thinking and just like sitting, resting and eating, and you're not going to be kind of thinking like, oh, what I need to do, what, you know, like ultimately, if you're doing the race alone, which is also possible without a crew, you will have to. And even though when I've done races without a crew, when I've done many of them, in this paper, I will write down, Tanya, when you get here, remember to grab this, and that.
Yeah.
So whenever I get to checkpoints, I will look at my cheat sheet and be like, oh, okay. And it just makes it easier instead of like having to think. Because
I think the thing is the organisation part of it's massive, and it's good that you had that time in Mexico to do that. Because even, for example, and we'll maybe show you a photo of it at a later stage in the podcasts, is that there was a suitcase where everything was all separated into stops. So that what would happen is Tanya would come into like checkpoint 5. And we would just pull out the checkpoint 5 bag with everything in it that you had to deal with. Sometimes you would maybe change that. Yeah. But I mean, that worked really, really well.
Again, it's like having a plan. It's a plan that you know is going to change.
But that's things you needed to organise in between that time of Atacama.
So it was very important for me to do the breakdown of like the 9 stages, right? That's how I kind of broke it down. And I'll just tell you how I broke it down very fast because it's going to make sense a little bit when I explain it. So in my head, I wanted to do, so the first one's going to be 57. The first 57 kilometers are no crew. That one's definitely no one can go in. So the first time I will see them was going to be in Whiskey Row. Oh, sorry. No, it's going to be the 57. That's when I was going to do a stop myself. There is crew allowed, but also we needed to check that the crew actually can make it there. And we had a little ban, which it wasn't going to be able to make it through that road because Crown King was like over a mountain. And they said like, oh, you know, there's people that have gotten stranded in there because, I don't know, a puncture in the tire or they blow up a tire because they don't have like a proper 4x4. And I was like, yeah, that would be the worst case scenario. I think I can survive it. That's fine. I'd rather you guys be okay, and be able to help me the rest of the race and appearing like just making it there is fine. So Crown King was the first one where usually crew is allowed. I didn't have my crew. I didn't have you guys there. So, but I did stop. So in my head, that was a big stop. I was able to sit down properly. I even had a beer. We'll talk about it. But that was the first stop. Then the second one was 66K. That was my next sort of like, for me, was like another stage, right? In my head, when I left the place, I was like, okay, that's going to be my next stage is 66 and that's it, right? There's a lot of little stops along the way, but in my head it was 66. And that was going to be my first time seeing you guys there. Definitely like first time I see the crew after 100 and something, 110K. It was fun. And then the third stage, it was going to be 50K. The next stage, 63K. Then, because I knew I was going to start breaking a little bit, like, okay, I could do a couple of 50s and 60s back to back, literally. But after 4 of them, I think I'm going to start needing you, like the crew, a little bit more often. So I broke down the distance in 20, 30, 20, 30, and then the last ones were 11 and 11K. Because I knew I will need, probably 11K would take me probably 5 hours. So I was like, that's going to be a very slow 11K. So that's how I broke the distance in chunks, and also thinking and knowing myself, like, okay, how am I going to feel more comfortable? And then this was important because what you were saying about the food bags. So I needed to give my crew sort of bags with instructions for each stage. I'm going to call it stages. And I needed to know where I was going to be in that point, and sort of imagining how I was going to feel and what I wanted like to eat or to, be taken care of with what. So that's how I also in Mexico, I was able to sort of take my time to go to the shops, buy candy, Mexican candy. I'm not a sweet person, so I also know that I had to buy a lot of like spicy stuff.
Which you love.
I know, it's so funny. People probably get destroyed in their stomach with spicy stuff. There I was, just eating like spicy everything.
The bacteria is cracking up, panicking.
My bacteria is
in your stomach's like, what's going on? They're having a fiesta in there.
My God can handle. I'm not gonna,
혹시
So far,
이
my
사건을
God,
알아봐 주실 수 있는
tomato. I
94년
can eat
일어난
a stone and my stomach will.
Yeah.
아 제가
I
지인이
never
겪은
had any.
일인데 그때 당시에 크게 주가 안 돼서 제 힘으로는 했더라고요.
So yeah,
지금
being in
유명
Mexico was great because I was
재개발에서
able to
일어난
have very
사건이고요.
handy all the spicy
계절
stuff that I
늦가을
usually didn't have for the dessert.
Yeah.
So salty, I mean, spicy things are
제가
really good because they have a lot of salt. So salty and spicy. And so I have a good mix. So all that took pretty much 3 weeks to prepare that between kit and all that. And also we had exciting time because obviously we're going back to Mexico. We're bringing home the medals, the first Mexican Latin athlete leading something like that. So I did got a little bit of a media attention as well.
That's right. Yep, that
I
was very
on TV.
exciting.
It was exciting.
I
And it's
know.
like, oh, sending him a message like, oh, I was in TV, I was in the newspapers. So that I did a little bit in between all that was trying to schedule calls, interviews.
I would love to put a link to that on the YouTube, just so that people can see it. They can see a different Tanya.
I look so different.
She looks like a woman.
I don't even get
You had
that
makeup
pretty.
on.
I don't even look that pretty for the podcast. Listen, the people that are on YouTube are the least people that see us. So
Yeah.
I don't really care that much. Most of our listeners are Spotify and podcasts. So the good thing is that people see me in the street in Jutland. They probably wouldn't know who am I.
Who are you?
But it was super fun. That's another thing that it was super cool going back to Mexico for the medals. It was the attention. I did an event for a brand as well. They did like a little run with me and meet Tanya kind of thing. And that was a whole weekend because I had to travel to a different place in Mexico. And it was nice. It was good. And you know what? Also, it helped me because I knew I was going to fight in something bigger than ever. And having that kind of love and energy through those 4 weeks was, I got supercharged, like energy charged. It was good. Like it was a good. And these people, obviously, again, I don't think I did something. I think, but I don't think I did something remarkable. But when you are going through these events and people are there telling you like, oh my God, I what you do and you inspire me, or you're there telling you all these things that you're like, maybe it's good. It's like it's good for the soul to know that you are doing something good and you have all these people kind of following you and seeing you, like your effort is not going. I mean, I don't do it with that. I do it with that sense, but it's not the objective. Obviously, I do it because I love it. But if it has a second, if it has a second result.
Yeah. It's become normalised for you because you do it every day. That's the thing. You don't realise. But yeah, it's definitely inspiring. Yeah. And actually, when you were over there, we got a lot of people talking about it, about saying how inspiring it was and things, which is nice to hear.
It's weird. It is. It feels weird because it's not I don't go around inspiring the goal. But then like in seconds, it feels nice. Even we'll speak about it, but even Cocodona was super. It felt weird to people getting close to like, Tanya, oh my God, and they kind of know your story and they know where you're coming from, what you've done, and it's so also that's another part that it was nice.
And also just to be clear, the both of us rocked in with the t-shirts I have on as well. Remember?
Oh yeah,
we walked in with our Ultra Happy Podcast t-shirts, the Run Club ones, and it was like, oh, the Ultra Happy Podcast.
Yeah, it was super cool. And we'll talk about the check-in and the next episode where we start properly going through Cocodona adventure. This is just kind of the link into leading to
transition.
That. There is these things that I think don't, and probably you all know, or not, if we're going. There's so many things in the back that you don't see, or I don't have the chance to record or take photos because you are so busy and that's why also I'm so happy that I have a podcast. Somehow I know it's getting out there and it's something I can have it there forever. Maybe not in video, maybe I'm not great with the videos or reels or social media kind of thing, but I know it's there and it will be there for November as well. Go back.
However, You do have something coming out, don't you?
Oh yeah, but that's for Donna as well.
Yeah.
So we'll have a mini film recorded. We had an amazing media recording team.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Who would that be?
I don't know. Super expensive.
It's
to
super
bring them
expensive,
all the way
yeah.
from Dubai.
Yeah.
Yeah, we grabbed a lot of footage from Budona and then we're putting it together for you all as well. So even those little things as well, back in the, like in those 4 weeks I was working on like the stuff that the material he needed to bring, he needed to buy material to record, I needed to connect with the yeah, 94 of it. Like all those little things. So as you can hear, 4 weeks went by super fast. And I'm saying 4 weeks. Reality was like less than 4 weeks. It was around 3 something because I had to travel. We had to travel all the way from Mexico to Phoenix. And I met you there and you know, so it was a little bit less than 4 weeks and it was just full on 2 weeks. So even though I'm saying I rested, I guess I was resting, but I was still stressed.
Yeah.
I had to figure out that super.
And from Andy's facts today, your body was still stressed. You didn't
My
even know
body
it.
was stressed. It took me a while. It always takes me a while even to start. Normally.
Yeah.
So and then more with the travel and yeah. So with that said, we are excited to start episode. Everyone, if you have any questions, start bringing them over because get the party started. Have a wonderful weekend. Hope I'll keep you posted. And remember to whatever makes you
Ultra happy.